The early morning rays began to peek over the horizon as I sat on my porch, cradling a hot mug of coffee. The air was fresh, filled with the earthy scent of dew and freshly cut hay, and the kind of tranquility that makes you forget the chaos of the world. My little farm, tucked away from the reach of the busy neighborhood association, had always been my sanctuary. But that peace shattered when my wife, Julia, screamed from inside the house. She burst out, her face pale, pointing at our bedroom window. "It was there," she gasped. "A drone, right up against the glass." I dropped my coffee mug, the ceramic smashing on the porch floor, and ran inside. By the time I reached the front yard, barefoot on the gravel, the drone had vanished, disappearing into the sky. My heart raced, not from the sprint, but from the audacity of it. This was no child's toy. It was surveillance. I knew exactly who was behind it. Our farm, just outside the HOA's reach, was a thorn in the side of our nosy neighbor, Linda. She'd always been critical of our noisy roosters, our tractor left out in the open, and especially Julia's love of sunbathing in the backyard. Sometimes she even did it in the nude. Linda wasn't the type to confront us directly, though. No, she preferred to play the spy. I'd seen the drone before, hovering over the fields and by the barn. At first, I thought it was just a prank, but after it hovered right by our bedroom window, I realized it was something more serious. I grabbed my binoculars and climbed up to the old water tower to get a better view. Sure enough, the drone flew down the main road, landing in Linda's immaculate backyard. She stood there, arms crossed, waiting like some sort of commander awaiting her scout. I made my way over, calm and composed, and knocked on her door. She opened it, her smile as fake as her expensive cosmetics. "How can I help you?" she asked sweetly, blocking the doorway. I told her everything about the drone, the repeated invasions of our privacy. She didn't deny it. Instead, she raised an eyebrow and said, "If everything you're doing is legal, why are you so concerned about a little drone? Not like I'm filming anything inappropriate." That remark confirmed it. She was recording something she shouldn't. I warned her that if it happened again, I'd press charges. "Suit yourself," she replied, slamming the door in my face. That night, I headed to the barn and called out softly. A shadow stirred, and Valor, my trained falcon, blinked down at me. I had rescued her from a poacher's trap 5 years ago and had taught her the ancient art of falconry. She was loyal, fierce, and after an encounter with a hawk and a shiny weather vane, she despised anything that flew unnaturally. I set up a trail camera the next morning. At precisely 7:12 a.m., the drone returned, buzzing over the chicken coop and skimming the greenhouse. I stepped out, rake in hand, and swung at it, but it dodged, shooting skyward. Valor screeched from the barn. The camera caught it all, shots of the drone hovering inches for Julia's window. What was it after? My crops? Our privacy? Or was it just for the thrill? I followed its flight path through the trees and saw it land in Linda's backyard again. But this time, she wasn't alone. 3 members of the HOA were gathered around a tablet, laughing as they watched the live feed. This wasn't just Linda's personal vendetta. It was a coordinated effort. I didn't confront them right away. Instead, I rigged motion sensors to the porch lights and trained Valor to recognize the drone's buzz. I fed her trout to keep her sharp. That night, she perched in the silo, her eyes fixed on the sky. When the drone returned, the lights flashed red, and Valor launched, swift as a shadow. Seconds later, I heard a loud clank. The drone's rotor was lying in the dirt, Valor pinning the rest beneath her talon. I cracked it open on my workbench. This wasn't a cheap toy. Inside, I found a high-definition camera, a mic, a hard drive, and an SD card with hours of footage, not just of my farm, but also of neighbors' backyards, windows, even thermal scans at night. Linda was running an illegal surveillance network. I took the evidence to the sheriff. He chuckled at the idea of an eagle taking down the drone, but sobered up when he saw the footage. "I'll look into it," he said, but I knew he was treading carefully. By sunset, the whole town was buzzing with rumors. Some laughed, others fumed over their violated privacy. I thought Linda might back down, but I was wrong. The next morning, I heard a deep hum in the air, and there it was, an upgraded drone. This one had 8 rotors, infrared sensors, and it flew higher than ever before. I knew then that I wasn't fighting a nosy neighbor. This was an air war. I called my cousin, Mike, a retired Air Force drone tech. He showed up with coffee and a grin, sizing up Valor like she was a war buddy. Together, we outfitted her with a new harness that allowed her to drop small payloads with precision. We tested it in the hills, and Valor hit the target perfectly. The next day, Linda's massive drone appeared again. I signaled to Valor, and she took off, flying low and wide to stay out of sight. As the drone dipped toward the greenhouse, Valor swooped down, clipped a propeller, and sent it crashing into the pond. I opened the drone's casing again, and once more, I found disturbing footage. Clips of my living room, a neighbor's teenage daughter sunbathing, and even thermal scans of my home. I showed the neighbor his footage, and he wasn't happy. "I'll handle this," he grumbled. By noon, the street was in an uproar. Linda didn't stop. That evening, her patched-up drone returned, noisier than before. I signaled Valor again, and she launched, this time dropping a net I had crafted from fishing line. It snagged one of the rotors, and the drone crashed behind the goat pen. I took photos of the wreckage and delivered the evidence to the sheriff. "This is criminal surveillance now," he said, after seeing the footage, especially the part with a minor involved. "We'll take it from here." But I knew Linda wouldn't quit without a fight. 3 days later, a new sound filled the air, a massive drone 3 feet wide with a spotlight blazing. The HOA had called an emergency meeting to discuss what they called my aggressive wildlife. They were targeting Valor. I arrived early, armed with the drone fragments and footage. Linda stood at the front, her giant drone parked like a trophy. She ranted about how Valor had attacked it. When my turn came, I plugged in the USB. The room went silent as Linda's footage played, backyards, windows, private moments. Gasps filled the room. When a thermal clip showed a neighbor in the shower, the room erupted in shock. Linda tried to explain, but the crowd turned against her. A man stood up, saying his daughter had felt followed by the drone. The vote to expel Linda from the HOA was unanimous. That night, Linda's drone returned, but this time it was different. I noticed a wild eagle trailing Valor. I called it Freedom. When Linda's drone lit up the sky, I whistled, and Valor and Freedom soared together, attacking the drone midair. It crashed into Linda's koi pond. The next morning, the sheriff arrived with a warrant. Inside Linda's home office, they found hidden cameras, audio logs, and monitors. She was arrested for privacy violations. Neighbors filed complaints, and Valor became a legend. Kids drew pictures of her, and the local 4-H club invited me to speak. The sheriff even gave her a mock medal, which I proudly hung in the barn. A week later, I received a letter from Linda's father. He hadn't spoken to her in years, and said she had become someone he didn't recognize. He sent a photo of her as a child, smiling with a baby eagle. It didn't erase her crimes, but it did humanize her. I felt closure, not pity. The farm was quiet again. Julia sipped her coffee without fear, and Valor and Freedom soared high, guardians of a free sky. Linda thought she could control us from above, but she learned the hard way. Up here, wings trump rotors, and the sky belongs to those who fight for it.